69 degrees.
Fabric of Family is a program designed to address family matters from a biblical perspective. Stay with us. We have a wonderful program in line for you today.
How do you explain? How do you describe?
In Him, all families are blessed. Join our discussion on Fabric of Family.
You know
What do I owe my children? You know, that's the theme of this program, but specifically, we want to look at the avenue of companionship. Have you ever thought of yourself as being a companion to your child? Stay with us for our discussion today.
Thank you for viewing the Fabric of Family.
Flooding my soul with
If you would like to receive free Bible study materials, please contact us. Our mailing address is 1031 Hermitage Drive in Florence, Alabama, 35630.
me, never conceal my Savior and guide. He is a light.
Or you may contact us at our website, jhcc.org. That's jhcc.org.
Flooding my soul with
Or you can call us at 256-764-6291.
His praises. Jesus is mine. In the bright
That's 256-764-6291.
two mansions above, singing His praises. Gladly I'm walking.
Our hope and prayer is to bring you and your family closer to
Jesus
God.
is mine.
It's time for our panel discussion, and I have with me today Paul Saint. He's a gospel preacher from the Pulaski, Tennessee area. Also, Brandon Greaves is here today, and Brandon is also a gospel preacher in the Tennessee, state of Tennessee, in the Pulaski, Tennessee area as well. So glad to have both of you men with us today to discuss what parents owe their children. Specifically, we're going to talk about companionship. You know, as we begin our study today, I'd like for us, first of all, to consider some principles that the Bible teaches us regarding companions, and this can have application to all of us, regardless of whether we're a parent or not. But what does the Bible teach in general regarding the importance of good companions and having good companions?
When you talk about owing our children, and we do owe our children, when we bring them into the world, we are stewards. We have them, as it were, as a glob of clay to mold and to shape and to make them that which is pleasing in the sight of God. We're obligated to do everything we can to bring them up in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord, as Paul would encourage the Ephesian brethren in Ephesians 6. Or, as Solomon would say, train them up in the way that they should go. I owe them that. Now, there's many ingredients that go together with that. Time, knowledge, helping them to see God in us and things of that nature. But companion, when we think in terms of companionship, we're talking about kind of walking together, are we not? I mean, through the tough times, through the good times, through the bad times, and helping them to get through those, for an example, teen years, when it's tough and maybe hearts are broken and friends betray them, or whatever it may be that they go through, but to be with them and to walk with them in that.
So, Brandon, what about having good companions? How does that impact us as a people versus having bad companions? I mean, is that really important anyway?
Well, absolutely. The Bible is very clear on that. When we have bad companions, our morals may decline.
Okay.
And we have good companions, our morals will rise. I know that for a fact. Just to give you an example, if you don't mind, when I was in the 4th grade, I received about 19 paddlings.
Wow.
I was not a good kid.
Probably set a record.
I probably did. But in 5th grade, I guess they wanted to do an experiment. They put me in a class with good students, and I only received 2 paddlings that year. So
So it definitely had an impact upon you, the people that you were hanging
the
around.
people I was around. Yes, when I was picking friends and joining, I was in the band in high school. Best decision ever, because I was around students who tried to make something of themselves, which drove me to do the same thing. Definitely applies to Christianity.
Paul spoke about that, though, didn't he? In 1 Corinthians, when he was talking about our companions corrupt our morals and our manners and our way of life, how easy it is to be a good person around good people, honest people, people of integrity, people of God's will and living by the word. But how tough it is when we're around the world, around those that are self-centered and selfish, and they're more interested in doing their own thing and being happy, whatever their happiness may be defined as. That's tough being a Christian around those, or a good person around them.
Yeah, I think about the Old Testament example of Lot, and when he was, side by side with Abraham, it appeared everything was great, other than the fact that God had blessed him so much that the land couldn't withstand him and all of his family and the flocks and herds and servants, along with his uncle Abraham and all he'd been given. But then Lot broke away from faithful Abraham, got off on his own, chose an area to set up camp in, and the Bible says he pitched his tent towards Sodom. The next time you read about Lot, he's actually living in Sodom. And so we can see that had an impact upon him and decisions he made, and it also influenced his family as well. What are some mistakes that parents sometimes can make in regard to the companionship of our children?
That's a tough question, and I've got my own feelings about it. And I hear too many parents, this is my opinion, I'll express it as such, I hear too many parents trying to be their best buddy, just be a friend to, and one like the crowd, instead of being a parent and the molder and the shaper of that person. When we're just trying to be a best friend to a child, we're likely to give in and relinquish our leadership role as we should. I heard recently a lesson entitled something to the effect of beware when you make your own children your idol. And I think that there are problems at times when parents make their children their idol. Mentality of, well, I didn't have that, so I want to make sure and give that to my children. Or I didn't get to do this, so I want to make sure they get to do it. Well, what brought us to where we are is sometimes those paddlings, sometimes the restraints, sometimes our parents saying no. And we walked with them, we cared for them, we hurt when they hurt, but at the same time we guided them in the way that is right.
I like to add that another mistake that we may make is that we forget that our children are always watching us. When for instance, if maybe we're in a checkout line and they're throwing a fit because they're not getting their way, they may want a piece of candy or something, and we just said no, and so they're throwing a fit, and then we'll say, if you don't quit throwing a fit, I'm going to, whatever punishment you fill in the blank. Well, they keep throwing the fit, and you keep giving them warnings and more warnings, and eventually they're going to say to themselves, well, you know what, they're not going to do anything. I can do whatever I want.
Mom and Dad's lying to me.
Right.
That's what it amounts to.
Absolutely.
We tell them we're going to do this and we don't do it. The relationship that we have, not a companion that becomes like one of them, but is one that helps guide them and make them into what God wants them to be.
They need to understand consequences.
So what then do you say that it's going to take to be an excellent parental companion to a child then? What are some attributes?
Listen to them, watch them, guide them. In other words, when they come home from school and they are struggling and they've had a really bad day, sometimes just to sit and let them know that you care about them, that you're interested in them, that you're hurting when they're hurting, and to feel their pain for sure, but at the same time to help teach them that that person that hurt you, they didn't do right. Maybe they did you wrong. Maybe they lied about you, spread rumors or whatever. But that's on them.
Yeah.
You live in such a way as to rise above that. You do what's right no matter what. But to let them know that you care.
Yeah, I think that's so important, Paul. You know, one thing that comes to my mind, you touched on a moment ago about the dangers of being a buddy to our child, and I think we all, those who are watching, they understand what we mean by that or what's meant by that, and that's an extreme. It's an extreme form that some use in parenting, and extremes are never good.
Right.
But the other spectrum, the other extreme, would be to be a parent who's very authoritarian, who has no compassion, who it's this way, this way, this way, and does not have a welcoming demeanor, so that our child can talk with us, can communicate with us without fear of being disregarded, minimized, chastised, you know, whatever the case may be. So I think that's good that we've mentioned both extremes that sometimes parents can go to. The extreme where they simply want to be a buddy and they ignore their parental guiding and their responsibilities along that line. And then the other extreme being, you know, where they just have no compassion, they're not approachable.
And that is really important, Barry, because I've known many a child. I'm thinking of two right now, two children whose father is ruffian, just crude. They're not interested, it seems, as if in the two children becoming what they need to be. It's more of do this or be that. It's almost like don't do as I say, or do as I say rather instead of what I do. I'm going to do what I want. That's not the type of parent that will raise healthy children.
That's not being a good companion.
It is not.
I wonder if that affects their spirituality in the future. For instance, if the father is an authoritarian, maybe that child will think that most of their role models will be the same way, even God.
Yeah.
Most people in the world think God.
Well, it's true, Brandon. We get our concept of God sometimes from our parents.
Right.
But that's the way we see God, because that's how, you know, that's modeled before us by our dad or our
Exactly.
mother.
When you said listen, that's how we need to view God. When we are struggling in this world, in this life, we need to know that we have a Heavenly Father who's there to listen and wants to be there and wants to help.
Think of the qualities of God. He's ready to listen.
Yep.
He loves us. And a good father or a good mother is a good companion when they love their child and show that love. Our Father is generous, not to a fault, not to give us things that we do not need. Neither should we be. Our Father is kind and compassionate. And we keep on going with all these great attributes.
Yep.
But look at God's qualities and then try to be that for ourselves toward our children.
Right.
So we want to be good companions to our children. That's a way in which we can improve our relationship with our child. And speaking of improving relationships, we're going to take a break right now. We're going to watch a segment by Harrison Chastain entitled Improving Relationships, and then we'll come back and we'll finish our panel discussion for today.
When God created man in Genesis chapter 1, God created us with a desire for companionship. He created us with a desire and a need to have a relationship with other people. However, what we need to do with that is to make sure that we surround ourselves with good companions. We need to make sure that we have strong companions in the Lord that will make us better people. We need to recall verses, as Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 15:33, that bad company corrupts good morals. Proverbs is very interesting. If you were to look in Proverbs chapter 1, verses 10 through 19, Solomon there sends the message to his son that if you have bad companions, you may as well not have any at all. Make sure that you have good companions. As we talk about improving our relationships, we need to think about several things that I think would be helpful to us, especially in the institution of marriage. Number one, it's important that we express appreciation to our spouses for the things that they do. Paul said in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 11, he exhorted the Thessalonians to continue to encourage, to continue to edify one another, because that was helpful to them. Second of all, we need to spend enjoyable time together. You know, life can be busy. You work hard. You've got kids. You've got to get the kids different places. There's all kinds of things to do. There's always work to be done. There's always laundry to be done. There's always dishes to be washed. There's always a house to clean. But at the end of the day, you need to boil it down. It's you and your spouse. And you need to make sure you spend enjoyable time together. At the end of a long day, Jesus told his apostles in Mark 6:31 to come aside and to rest a while. Pick your feet up, take a breath, and regroup for the next day. The third thing that we need to do in order to increase our relationship quality with our spouse is to focus on God together. In fact, God is the creator of marriage. And so since God created this institution, we need to focus on Him. There's perhaps no better passage that illustrates this than Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 through 9, when Moses is instructing the children of Israel to teach Him to their children, to talk about Him to each other as they rise up, as they walk along the way, all the time. Be talking about, be focusing, and be meditating on God as a couple together. Number 4, last but not least, I would encourage you to work together through trials. You know, there are a lot of things that test our marriages, financial challenges, communication challenges, and the list could go on and on. But at the end of the day, your relationship with your husband or your wife is strengthened when you can work through those trials together. When you work through trials in your marriage, your relationship is strengthened. And when you come together and you work through those things, it makes for a greater relationship. James put it this way in James chapter 1, verse 2, count it all joy when you fall into various trials. Verse 3, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. Let patience have its perfect work, that you be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. And so as we think about improving our relationship quality, in particular with our spouse, these are just 4 things that would be helpful. There are 4 things that are scriptural. And if we practice those things in our marriages, I can promise you this, and the Lord does too, you will have a better relationship with your spouse.
We're back for our panel discussion, talking about companionships and what we as parents owe our children. Why do you think that we as parents do fall short from time to time in this area of companionship? What are some factors that can contribute to our failures?
I would say number 1 is not knowing what to do in certain situations. Perhaps a certain situation will occur and maybe we're afraid to hurt their feelings. Maybe we're afraid to go too far. Maybe we're afraid not to go as far as we should. Just flat out ignorance, not knowing.
Well, that's certainly a very valid point. But how can we counter that? I mean, what can we do to counter the ignorance that sometimes we may have regarding situations? As a young parent, you know, if you take someone who's a young parent, they don't have a lot of experience parenting. So, you know, how can we overcome that lack of knowledge, Paul?
We do the best we can.
Yeah.
And that's all we can do at that point. My wife and I have been blessed to have 4 girls. Our first child lived only 6 weeks. We've got 3 married daughters now. And we have often, in some very emotional discussions with them, recently in fact, talked about the fact that we made mistakes. Mm-hmm. There were times that we did the best that we could, but maybe I was too harsh on them, too strict on them. And I think I probably was. I told them at the time I expected to be strict, but at the same time, I didn't want to be too much so. Mm-hmm. The whole point is I do the best I can. Now, to solve it, I felt that the best that I had was an aunt and uncle. Mm-hmm. To whom I looked up to and thought they were just the best parents in the world. Mm-hmm. And I talked to them. I asked their advice at times and think, how am I doing? Am I doing this right? And I would call his name and say, Uncle Blank, and tell me. Now, And he did. And at times I didn't necessarily like to hear what he had to say.
Yeah.
But he told me what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
So learning from them.
So we need to learn from those who are around us, and that can be very intimidating, especially as a young parent, or even if you're not a young parent, but maybe you have a child who's going into a new stage of development. You know, going from adolescence into the teenage years is can be very trying and stressful. And if you've never raised a teenager, or maybe you've had a teenager, but you had a girl who was a teenager. Now you've got a teenage boy. Boys and girls are different, and there's differences even among girls and among boys. And so the more people that we can bounce things off of, our parents are. An aunt or an uncle, or maybe someone at church who is on up in their years and they've had experience. Preachers, elders, just don't be fearful or hesitate to ask other people, because my people perish because of a lack of knowledge. Well, we understand that that's in the context of miracles and divine revelation in its context, but the principle's true. I mean, if we don't have the knowledge, we need to get it, and we are going to make mistakes.
Sure. There's a lot of materials also that are available that would help us. If we have an open mind and ready to learn, then to seek those classes or video lessons and whatever. There's a lot of good materials there that can help guide us that way. You asked in the outset about what causes this problem. Is it not also parents living in a rat race world?
Right.
A tyranny of the urgent? I mean, dad comes home, and by the time he gets home, he's exhausted and he's had a stressful day, and the teenage boy comes in and he barks at the son, and
Yeah, I mean, he's too tired to be a companion.
Exactly.
Because of his schedule, his work schedule. So
But that's the priority.
Yeah.
Is making sure that we take the time to listen, to care, to love, and show them that they are first in your life at that moment.
Yeah, and we owe our children that. We've brought them into the world, and we have that obligation to make sure that their needs are cared for. And our children do have the need for companionship. I think about Deuteronomy 6 and verse 7, also Deuteronomy 11 and verse 19. And those passages are talking about the responsibility that we have to teach our children. And those teaching moments don't always come at a planned time, where you say, I'm going to sit down and talk to my son or my daughter about this tonight or tomorrow. There are those teaching opportunities, but there are also teaching opportunities just as we go through life.
Right.
If we'll just open our eyes and see it as an opportunity to teach.
One of the favorite times that I had, I didn't enjoy doing the dishes and drying the dishes for my mother, but there were 4 of us boys, 1 daughter, and mother required us to kind of learn all these skills that she called them, and included that. Well, I didn't necessarily like that, but as we stood there at the sink, and I could ask any question at any time and do whatever I wanted. The story is told one time about a girl, and her dad came home from work, and she walked up to him there in his recliner and said, Dad, how much do you make an hour? And he was kind of stunned by the question. I think he ended up saying $30 an hour. And she said, I'm going to save up my money. I'm going to get $15, and I'd like to have a half an hour of your time. Children want their parent to give them time, to train them, to listen to them, and to help them through life.
Do you think that a child's need varies as they grow and go through different stages of growth as far as companionship is concerned? What are your thoughts about that?
Absolutely. Just that's the blunt answer. A 6 or 7 or 8 year old, so drastically different to a 13, 14, 15-year-old. Going through the changes physically, whether it be girl or boy, and the need for a parent to be there for them to ask questions and inquire concerning what's happening, and controlling and the lustful thoughts or the changes that's going on, not understanding. They've got to have a parent, a mother or father that can ask that. What about dating? And you enter into that whirl of dating, and to have a parent to where you can listen to it. I'll never forget, our oldest child came home, and I'm probably telling a whole lot more than she wants me to tell, but we had such a good relationship with her, and a wonderful, we could tell each other anything. And she came home from the first date and said, he tried to get his hand in my blouse. But she told us that, and we gave an answer or reply to that, and she wasn't afraid to say that, and we didn't jump all over her or him, either one. We guided her through those storms of life in that way.
I appreciate you saying that, because I have 4 children of my own. My oldest will be 9 here real soon. I don't have teenagers yet, so as this inevitable time comes, I'm regretting it. I'm scared to death of it.
Well, I ended up getting my 30-06 to the guy, but I'm just joking a little bit. I did talk to him.
Sure.
And when he found out that Dawn had said something about it and revealed that, and he was aghast. And I said, but you're dating us, all of us, in that respect.
So I would say I need to prepare right now and get ready for it.
Yeah, ready or not, here it comes.
Yes, sir.
That's true, and so the needs certainly do vary. It's great if you if you have a relationship like that with your child, especially as they reach the teen years. Generally speaking, children tend to want to be have more communication with their parents when they're younger.
Yeah.
They're proud of mommy and daddy and want to know everything that mommy and daddy thinks, and for some reason, as they grow older and become teenagers, they want mom and dad, well, let me off a couple of blocks away from the school. I don't want to, anybody to see that, you're with me. So sometimes things do change, but it's marvelous if you are able to have that wonderful relationship that you do with your daughter. Listen, our time has just gotten away so fast, but thank you so much for your participation today in our program. Well, our time has quickly passed away today, and I'm just thankful for the opportunity to present this program on companionship and what we as parents owe our children. We hope that the broadcast has been beneficial to you. If you're looking for a church home, I would encourage you to check out some of the congregations that are going to be scrolling across the screen. These are congregations that are supporters of this program, and I know they would be very happy to talk with you about the Church of Christ and about what the Bible has to say concerning this matter that we've been discussing today or any other. Until next time, I'm Barry Gilreath Jr., wishing you and your family a wonderful week.
Heavenly Son,
Thank you for viewing The Fabric of Family.
flooding my soul with.
If you would like to receive free Bible study materials, please contact us. Our mailing address is 1031 Hermitage Drive in Florence, Alabama, 35630. Or you may contact us at our website, jhcc.org. Or you can call us at 256-764-6291. Our hope and prayer is to bring you and your family closer to God.
Let's make the most of a minute.
Speech on. GBNFBF 305. Hearing remote. Button. Screen mirroring. Camera. Calculate. Timer. Flash. Selected. Brightness. Mute. Selected. Screen recording.